Hey everyone, this is Steven here, back at it again with another video. In today's video, I plan on doing things very differently, and I'm going to go over the recent conspiracy theory on Logan Paul's first edition Charizard in a BGS 10. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and give some thoughts and research on that. But before we get into that, if you enjoy this type of content and would like to see more in the future, please feel free to hit the like button and also subscribe. So now that we got that out of the way, we can get into the actual video. And one of the main reasons why I want to touch on this is because it is related to BGS, so it is related to cards and also the card grading services, and specifically Beckett here. But the reason why I came across this is I saw a trending article, and it was essentially about some conspiracy theories on this BGS 10 of Charizard first edition that Logan Paul was wearing. And I do want to do a disclaimer up front that this is all speculation. I'm just going off of some other research that other creators have done. I don't have a side on this. I just want to show kind of what's going on out there and kind of walk through some of the logic and thought process of some of the other creators. But essentially what happened is this all started on Sunday when Logan Paul fought Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match. It wasn't much of a fight, but it was a lot of hugging, and I guess it was entertaining for some, but I'm just glad I didn't pay for it. But anyway, it all started with Logan Paul walking out with a chain, and that chain consisted of a BGS 10 of Charizard here. This is the first edition, so this is estimated to be around a $700,000 card. There's currently only 3 of these in the BGS population reports, so extremely limited card, as you can see there. And this is straight from Beckett Media. So it says, here's a better look at the pristine 1999 base first edition Charizard Holo R that Logan Paul wore to the ring last night. For the record, this is Pop 3 on the BGS population report. So this is good publicity for not only Pokemon, but also for Beckett. So this is what they posted on their Twitter. So then what happened is after the fight, some, investigators on social media started looking into it, and that's kind of what I wanted to go over now. So essentially, I stumbled across this Instagram channel, and this is what went viral, where I found this, but it's from a channel called Pichu Collector, and the highlight of the story, or the summary of it, is it says Logan Paul's not so pristine BGS 10 pristine Charizard. So essentially what he's trying to say is he doesn't think that this card is actually a BGS 10. So we'll go over some of the reasons and some of the facts that he lays out here. But it all starts with a guy named Gary, and that's this guy on the right here, and mainly known as the biggest Pokemon collector in the world. He was featured on Pawn Stars a couple years back, and that's kind of how he got really famous.
I have
I'll show the clip
probably
here.
the world's #1 Pokemon collection inside this case.
Little figures?
Cards, and they're all Charizards, which is the #1 Pokemon guy.
Okay, hold on 1 second here.
Yes.
Chop. Yeah? This guy's got
But that's Gary from Pawn Stars right there, and again, he's mainly known as the biggest Pokemon collector in the world, and he's very big in the Pokemon community. And essentially what happened is at the time prior to Logan's third BGS 10 of Charizard, there's only 2 out there, and they're both owned by Gary, and that's him on the right there, the guy that was on Pawn Stars. As of last year, so January 27th, he went on Leonhardt's, who's another PokeTuber. He went on his channel, and he said that we're going to be doing some crossovers at Beckett. We have some of my Charizards, the very best ones I own, and hopefully get them upgraded to Beckett 10. So essentially what they're doing here is Gary on the right has a bunch of PSA 10s of Charizards that he wanted to cross grade to BGS 10s because those are much harder to get. So on the channel, they went over this, and this was January 27th. And then the next here, Pichu Collector says, basically on January 27th, so the same day, in the same video, they did a BGS reveal. And this reveal said that one of his Charizards, once they did a regrade, the Charizard fails to cross to BGS 10 due to 1 edge and 2 corner issues. So that's basically saying they did try to do a regrade with BGS, crossover grade from PSA. However, it did not end up getting that BGS 10 that they were looking for, so they just kept it in the PSA 10 slab. And then if we fast forward here, and then on September 24th, 2020, Logan Paul purchased his card from Gary. So Logan bought a PSA 10 first edition from Gary, who's the biggest Pokemon collector in the world. That's shown here, and that's on September 24th. So 9 months later from when that PSA 10 was attempted to be crossed over. And then on October 7th, 2020, so a month later, Beckett registers a new BGS 10 card. And then the real Pokemon King here, that's Gary from Pawn Stars. And he's saying it was not him. So this is him acknowledging that there is another Beckett 10 out there, and he was actually willing to buy it. So he put out a $700,000 offer out there for anyone who had this card, because he wanted to have all three in his collection, not just the two. So at this point, on October 7th, 2020, there's another known BGS 10 of this first edition Charizard. So now there's three. Gary currently owns two of them. And then now on June 7th, 2021, Beckett tweets a high resolution scan of the card. And I'll actually go back to the Beckett page for this. So that's up here. And this is the high resolution scan. As you can see here, that's the pristine 10 of the Charizard that Logan Paul was wearing. And this is straight from Beckett's Twitter. So they released a high resolution scan on the day of the fight. And then a couple hours later, Beckett publishes their own article calling it a $1 million card. So again, they're saying that Logan Paul has, this $1 million card now graded by them. So again, this is good publicity for Beckett. And then this particular person, Pichu Collector, he stacked basically that PSA 10 that Logan Paul was holding. So he stacked the high-res scan of this card, the first edition 10, in a PSA next to the BGS Pristine 10. And he's saying that the holofoil pattern is identical. He's saying that these are the same cards. So what that basically means is, if you look at the holos here, you can see it does look pretty identical, but essentially what he's trying to say is PSA 10 card here on the right at the beginning of 2020 was a crossover candidate for Gary. However, previously seen in the pictures earlier, it turns out that this card was not accepted, so it did not qualify to be a crossover candidate. So essentially that was Beckett saying this card is not good enough to be a 10. However, then we know Gary sold the same card in a PSA 10 to Logan Paul, and then a couple months later, it turns out that this same card, it almost appears to be that it comes back a BGS Pristine 10. So he's basically saying, since Logan Paul submitted it to Beckett, then that same card that already got rejected earlier was now passed, and then now Beckett is using this as advertisement and basically trying to boost their popularity and get their name out a little bit by using Logan Paul. But again, this is all speculation. None of this has been proven. This is all just hearsay from the internet. How fast things can spiral out of control. But if this is all true, that's not a good look for Beckett. And I think that all grading companies should have a standard that is held up to, no matter who is submitting specific cards. But with that being said, please let me know down in the comments your thoughts on this particular conspiracy theory. And if you enjoyed this type of content and would like to see more in the future, please feel free to hit the like button and also subscribe. Thanks, and have a good day. Bye.